In this video, I am going to be doing a review and demo of all 4 of these head joints, which as you can tell, they all look very different. So I'm excited to hear the differences of these. And these ones are by Pere Alcon. Pere Alcon head joints are handcrafted using traditional seamed tube techniques with Alcon's signature asymmetric cut. The asymmetric cut is designed to give a rich and versatile sound with a wide range of tone colors and dynamics. All head joints are handmade in Barcelona, Spain. Before we get started, I wanted to remind you of all of the different perks that I have for you at the Flute Center of New York. When you use my code Gina, you'll get all of these. You will first get both free shipping as well as an extended warranty on any new instrument purchase. If you are doing a flute or piccolo trial, you will get an extended trial. If you are looking for sheet music, you'll get 10% off of sheet music. And finally, if you are looking to sell your flute through the Flute Center of New York and you have to do any repairs on that instrument, you will get $25 off of those repairs with my code Gina again, and you can learn more about consigning your flute right here. The first thing that I'm noticing with these head joints is they look very different than most other head joints that I have seen. Primarily this back part. Most of the time flutes, the lip plate kind of ends right here and ends right here, whereas this one has this band around the back of the head joint. So that's very unique to these types of head joints. And yeah, so let's start out with this one. Let me tell you the specs and then I'll play it for you. This head joint has a 950 silver tube lip plate and riser and has a silver cork plate. This has a really amazing sound. I love the projection of this head joint. It has a really nice full sound, a little bit of a darker sound, I would say, which I personally really like. And it's very easy to play. This is my first time playing the head joints from this maker. Very easy to play right off the bat, so you definitely don't have to worry about like picking something up new and it's slightly different. You're like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to play it right away? Yes, I was able to play it right away and be able to play it very easily. So let me play a little bit more and give you some more thoughts about this head joint. The biggest thing that I'm noticing with this particular head joint is it has a very focused sound, a very clear sound, which is fantastic. Again, just super, super easy to play. All 4 of these head joints are so different in terms of the material that are used. They're all from the same maker, but very, very different in terms of like the actual materials in the construction. So let me switch over to the second head joint and let's see how that one is like. So just like the last head joint, this one also has the band around the back. Of course, looks very different. So let me compare and contrast these two. Obviously, they look very different other than just the construction of the lip plate and that design. The biggest difference, obviously, this one is all silver, whereas this one is the 9-karat gold with the Grenadilla. Also, the crown is Grenadilla, so it looks very different. It is very striking. I love the look of it. This head joint has a 9-karat gold tube, a Grenadilla lip plate and riser, and a silver cork plate. Another thing that I didn't mention before, which you would have already seen when I showed you the close-ups of these head joints, is I love right here where we have the signage from the maker. It's a really, really cool logo, which I appreciate. I love design. It looks really awesome. This is a really cool looking head joint. I'm sure it'll sound just as good, so let's test it out. I feel like this one projects more than the last one, and it also has a bigger, like more open sound. That one had like a very direct kind of sound. This one is a little bit more spread. It just, again, depends on what it is that you are looking for. This does have a really fantastic sound. Let me play a little bit more and give you some more thoughts on this head joint. So probably the biggest difference off the top of my head, I would say, is just it has a little bit of a warmer sound than the last one. It's also maybe slightly easier to play than the last one. I will mention I'm used to playing on a gold flute. So playing this, it's gold, other than the lip plate. So that could potentially be the reason for this. It's always really important when you're trying different head joints, both to try it out on the body of the flute that you're going to be playing it with, not just some random body. So that's really important, number one. Number two, you have to find something that works both well with the body that you currently have, which I will go into the specs of this in just a second, as well as what works best for you as a flute player. What is it that you are looking for in your sound? Typically when you're looking for a new head joint, you're looking for something different, whether it's a different sound than the flute that you currently have. Maybe you feel like something is missing in the sound that you currently have. So that would definitely be a reason why you would be changing your head joint out. Also, another option would be that you are wanting to upgrade. You need something that is a little bit more advanced, and rather than getting an entirely new flute, you can just start with upgrading the head joint, which is obviously a little bit more cost effective than buying an entirely new instrument. And the thing that is going to make the biggest difference in your sound is the head joint. So just things to keep in mind. And like I had mentioned, let me tell you the type of flute that I am playing this body. This is actually my flute that I own. This is a 401 by Miyazawa. It is not made anymore. It is now, I believe, the 402. So if you're looking into what those specs actually are, look up the 402 and it will be comparable with what I have here. Now we are switching over to the wooden head joints that are all wood, other than, of course, like the rings and the tenon. And right here, we also have a little bit of silver here. This head joint has a Grenadilla tube and lip plate with a solid silver riser. It also has silver rings, cork plate, and tenon. One thing I wanted to show you is the difference in terms of the circumference of these. This one is obviously bigger than this one, so keep that in mind. If you have not played a wooden head joint, typically they are bigger than your metal head joint, whether it's silver plated, or gold, whatever it may be. It's going to be a little bit bigger. So you can see that difference right here. Put that back, but just looking at it here, it's, you know, every single maker is going to be different. Things I'm noticing right now is that the lip plate becomes flush with the wood here of the wood tube, as well as right here it becomes flush with it, rather than it being fully raised. So just keep that in mind when you're trying it out. You might have to kind of mess around with the placement a little bit. I haven't played it yet, so I'll tell you what it's like playing it, but it's really beautiful. I love the crown on it. It looks really pretty, and it's just it's a very stunning head joint, so let's test it out and see what it sounds like. So what I'm doing right now in order to find the placement is primarily, I'm not necessarily filling the lip plate here. What I'm doing instead is filling this inner circle right here on my lip and placing it there. And that's how I'm able to find the placement. That's what I would recommend if you're trying one of these head joints. I really, really like this one. Not that I didn't like the other ones. I like them all. They just all have very different sound qualities to them. It is nice. I think that it has this silver around where you're putting air into the instrument, because that is going to offer you a little bit more resistance as well as silver qualities along with the wooden qualities. Some of you might be wondering, when would I use a wooden head joint? Is it just for a certain type of music? Is it for everything? And that's a personal preference. Some people that I know play with a wooden head joint all the time. Sometimes people will want to pull out a wooden head joint more for certain types of music. If that particular head joint maybe has more characteristics of something that they want for, let's say, Baroque music or something along those lines. But like I said, a lot of people do just play with one of these head joints at all times. So that's just, again, personal preference, what you are looking for in sound. One thing I was noticing that I wanted to point out to you guys is that whenever you are trying head joints, they are all going to be slightly different sizes. So depending on the size of the barrel of your flute that you currently have and the size of this one with the tenon going into your flute, they can be kind of loose, or they might be perfect fit, or maybe they're too big. So be very aware of that. Obviously, if it's too tight, do not force it at all, because that can damage both your instrument as well as the head joint. So don't do that. No go. If it is loose, you need to be very, very careful, because what can happen is that if it's too loose and you, let's say, I'm going to hold on to it because this one is loose. That's why I thought of this. If you are holding it and you happen to have it more like this, it can fall on the floor. Not ideal. That can obviously really damage it. So, and obviously another thing you wouldn't want to do is hold it by the head joint, because look at that. Like, I literally didn't even pull that. It's just sliding. So yeah, it would just fall off, and then your body is on the floor. Not good. So you have to be very careful with that. If you were to purchase this, if it is loose, that's not a problem. They can refit it. Flute Center can refit it for you. Also, another thing that they have already done, it's still a little loose for my particular flute, but they have like this particular type of tape that you can put on here. If you are at home and you are testing this out, you can honestly just get some Scotch tape. Don't put too much, just start with little pieces. That is not going to damage the flute. Obviously, you wouldn't want to get that lower into the flute body where the pads are, because that would affect the pads. But if you're just doing it right here, you would, like I said, you would just wrap a tiny, tiny bit around here, and not even around the entire thing. You could just start with this strip of tape, maybe that big, and just put that on the head joint. So that's something to try. But be careful, because like I said, if I just go like this is just gravity and it would just fall right off. So be very careful of that. Let me play a little bit more on this flute to give you my final thoughts on this head joint before moving on to the next one. This has a fantastic sound. It's a little bit harder to project with this one versus the other two, in my opinion. Of course, you know, depending if you are using a metal head joint or a wooden head joint, all those things drastically change how the projection is, how the tone quality is of the sound, the tone color, everything like that. It has just like a different sound to it. I love, love, love the sound though. It has just kind of a little bit more of a delicate sound, I would say, but it's still very strong across the registers. It's very easy to play between the registers, change the tone colors, change the dynamics, everything like that. Very easy to play, and I really love this head joint. And finally, we have our last head joint. This head joint has a Pikia tube, lip plate, and riser. It has silver rings, cork plate, and tenon. So just like the last head joint, the lip plate right here becomes flush with the tubing here as well as right here. One thing to note is it does not have silver around here, so that is a slight difference between this and the last one. Obviously, it has a different type of wood, that's apparent, but I did want to point that out for you. Having the silver there is going to change the way that it sounds, even beyond it being a different type of wood. But let's try it out and see what it sounds like. So the last one, I said that I felt like it was a little bit more delicate. This one is a workhorse. This one is beefy, and I think that's really cool, depending, again, the type of music you're playing. Personally, I really love to be able to really push the sound a lot, especially in the low register. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that. So I love the style of this head joint. It's very easy to play. Again, it was actually, for both of these two last head joints, it was very easy to pick them up and play, even despite the lip plate feeling slightly different than what I'm used to. Very easy to pick up and play. Again, you just want to fill this little half circle right here against your lip and put that where it normally, for the most part, would fit what you're used to. So that's what I would definitely recommend. Let me play it a little bit more and give you more thoughts. Overall, from this one to the last one, this one has a little bit of a darker, more edgy sound. The other one's a little bit more delicate and light. So it just kind of depends, again, what you're looking for. I would highly recommend doing a trial to see what works best for you and your playing style and the body of the instrument that you currently have, because those are all factors in determining what is going to be the best fit for you. Let me know in the comments which of these head joints was your favorite, and if you've tried these particular head joints before. I am very impressed with Alcon. I think that they are beautifully crafted, really amazing, and it's really cool that there is such a range in the head joints in terms of the different sounds that you can make with these head joints. So they really seem to have something for everyone. Anyway, thank you again so much to the Flute Center of New York for making this series possible. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my future flute videos, and follow me both on Instagram and TikTok, and I'll see you next time.